how do you create the entire universe out of absolutely nothing?
Right, and we don't mean a dark vacuum either.
Yeah, exactly. Not just some massive expanse of empty outer space waiting to be filled with stars. I mean, true mathematical zero.
It's it forces a complete mental shift, you know? We're so used to that visceral image of the Big
A
Bang,
giant explosion.
right? A dense, chaotic ball of matter just violently bursting outward. But starting with true zero requires a totally different framework. You kind of have to wrap your head around how nothingness and absolute fullness can be, well, the exact same thing.
Which is wild. So welcome to today's deep dive, where we are going to explore exactly that framework. We have an incredibly captivating source today, a highly detailed lecture by Radha Marthi on the Shri Chakra.
Also known as the Sri Yantra, yeah.
Right. And our mission today is to decode this ancient geometric symbol. People often call it the yantra Raja or the king of all yantras. But I want to be clear, this isn't just a lesson on a pretty geometric drawing.
Far from it.
Yeah, we are going to explore a cosmic blueprint. It's a map that charts out the entire universe and, surprisingly, maps out you.
And that paradox from the Upanishads that you mentioned, you know, creating everything from zero, that is the mathematical and spiritual foundation of this entire blueprint.
Okay, let's unpack this, because to understand the entire cosmos, we have to start at the absolute center of this drawing. It's the single point where nothing and everything exists simultaneously.
The Bindu.
The Bindu, right.
Yeah, so the Bindu is just a solitary dot in the very center of the Shri Chakra. And in Sanskrit, this point is described using two concepts that honestly seem completely contradictory.
Like total opposites.
Exactly. So first there's Shinyam, which translates to zero or absolute nothingness. And then there's Purnam, which means complete absolute fullness.
Which, I mean, that hurts the brain a little bit. How can a single dot be empty and completely full at the exact same time?
I know, it's a lot.
Yeah.
But the source material explains this through the sheer mathematics of creation. To maintain the universal balance of zero-like, to literally create something out of nothing. You can't just spawn a random singular object.
Yeah, because then it wouldn't be zero anymore.
Exactly. Yeah. If you have an equation that equals zero and you decide to, say, pull a positive 5 out of it, the math demands that you also pull out a negative 5.
So if you plus 5 into existence, you have to bring a minus 5 into existence right alongside it.
Yep. The net sum remains 0, but suddenly you have two distinct things interacting.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And this mathematical necessity, it manifests as the dualities that govern our entire universe.
Like hot and cold.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You cannot have the concept of hot without the concept of cold, or high without low. It's the emergence of the male and the female principles, you know, Shiva and Shakti.
The universe is basically built on this profound dualistic tension.
It is. All the chaotic energy and matter we see around us, it's just the positive and negative numbers interacting. If you were to somehow add them all back together...
They're just perfectly cancel each other out.
Right, back to the peaceful nothingness of the Bindu.
But the universe isn't just, two opposing forces staring at each other in stalemate. Like, things actually happen.
Thankfully.
Yeah. And that brings us to what I like to think of as the Big Bang of the yantra.
The first triad.
Yes, the first triad. The first manifestation that actually emerges out of that center dot is a triangle. And this triangle represents the ultimate trinities of existence.
Right. The source notes that this first triangle represents 3 distinct pillars. You've got the subject, the object, and the process of observation.
Or like the known, the knower, and the process of knowing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And in the context of Hindu philosophy, this triad is expressed as space, time, and matter.
Which are represented by specific deities, right?
Yeah. Space is Vishnu, time is Shiva, and matter is Brahma. So the entire trinity of Indian philosophy is completely contained in that very first perfectly balanced geometric shape.
Let's think of this first triad like a camera taking a photograph. I think that helps ground it.
Oh, I like that analogy.
Yeah, so to capture reality, for an experience to actually exist and be recorded, you need 3 distinct things. First, you need the photographer, right?
Yeah.
That's the subject or the knower.
Okay.
Second, you need the beautiful mountain landscape they're looking at, which is the object or the known.
Right.
But just having a person standing in front of a mountain doesn't magically produce a photograph. You need the actual clicking of the shutter.
The process.
Exactly. The physical process of observation, the action of seeing. Without all 3 corners of that triangle working together, reality just doesn't manifest.
It's a locked system. You cannot remove one corner and still have a functioning reality to experience.
But, okay, now that we have this first building block, this perfectly balanced triangle, how does it cascade into the massive, dynamic, chaotic universe we actually walk around in every day?
Well, that happens through a really specific expansion of the geometry.
Wow.
It reveals what we might call a divine imbalance.
A divine imbalance.
Yeah. So as the Shri Chakra expands outward from that central triangle, it builds itself using 9 interlocking triangles in total.
Okay, 9 triangles.
And here's the key. 4 of these triangles point upward and 5 point downward.
And these directions carry massive philosophical weight in the source text.
They do. So the 4 upward pointing triangles represent Shiva. And in this context, Shiva embodies the silent, static, witnessing attribute within us, pure space, pure consciousness.
Okay, and the downward ones.
The 5 downward pointing triangles represent Shakti. Shakti is a dynamic, creative, kinetic energy that we see moving externally in the universe.
Okay, so what does this all mean? I mean, if Shiva and Shakti are supposed to be the ultimate duality, the plus and the minus equals 0, why the partiality?
What do you mean?
Like, if they are 2 sides of the exact same cosmic coin, why does Shakti get 5 triangles while Shiva only gets 4? It seems unfair.
What's fascinating here is that this specific imbalance is literally the engine of the universe.
How so?
Well, think about it. If there were 4 upward triangles and 4 downward triangles, they would perfectly cancel each other out.
Complete equilibrium.
Exactly. The result would just be 0 again. And a perfectly balanced engine doesn't turn.
Oh, it would just instantly collapse back into the central dot of the Bindu.
Exactly. Shakti, that dynamic kinetic energy, is given that extra 5th downward triangle because creation actually requires a slight dominance of movement over static observation.
Wow.
Without that deliberate built-in imbalance, manifestation is just entirely impossible.
Yeah.
The universe runs on that one extra downward thrust of energy. It's what keeps the cosmic wheel spinning.
Because of this dynamic imbalance, this energy just can't stay still. It cascades outward, exploding from the center and creating all these complex layers of our reality.
Layer by layer.
Right, and the yantra charts this journey, moving from the purely cosmic scale all the way down to physical matter. So let's trace that map outward, starting with the pre-cosmic stage.
Yeah, so immediately outside that central triangle, we find an enclosure of 8 triangles. And the source details that these 8 triangles represent the original 14 drum beats of Shiva.
Okay, wait, this is where we have to talk about the mechanics of this. How do 14 drum beats translate into 8 geometric triangles?
It connects to this really cool scientific principle called cymatics.
Cymatics.
Yeah, it's the study of visible sound. Basically, if you take a metal plate, cover it in fine sand, and play a specific sound frequency through it.
Oh, I've seen videos of this.
Right. The vibration causes the sand to spontaneously arrange itself into these intricate, symmetrical geometric patterns. If you change the frequency, the geometry changes instantly.
So sound is physically shaping matter.
In this philosophy, sound is the absolute foundation of matter. The primordial vibration, those 14 drum beats, literally organizes the chaotic energy of the universe into the specific geometric shapes that follow.
That is incredible.
Yeah, and from those foundational frequencies, all literature, music, dance, and structure are said to evolve.
Okay, so then we move out into what's called the manifest cosmos. This part is mapped by 2 concentric sets of 10 triangles, and then followed by a set of 14 triangles.
Right, the inner 10 triangles represent the raw hardware of reality.
The hardware.
Yeah, they stand for the 5 elements: earth, water, fire, air, space, and their 5 corresponding properties.
And the outer 10.
The outer 10 triangles relate to the interface we use to navigate that hardware. They represent our 5 sensory organs, like our eyes and ears, and the 5 organs of action, like our hands, feet, and vocal cords.
Okay, and then we hit the 14 triangles.
Those 14 triangles represent the 14 worlds of existence, but also the 14 major nadis in the human body.
Nadis are basically the subtle nervous system, right?
Exactly. They're the internal wiring, the energy highways that carry life force throughout your physical form. And the most vital ones run straight up through the center of your spine.
So we've journeyed from a single dot of nothingness to a seed of vibrating sound to the physical elements and the literal sensory organs we use to perceive them.
It's a huge journey.
It is. And finally, we arrive at the individual. You. The outermost layers of the yantra feature an 8-petaled lotus, a 16-petaled lotus, and finally this massive outer square with 4 gates, which is known as the Bhupura.
The Bhupura, yes.
And that heavy outer square is the physical reality where we find ourselves sitting right now.
And this spatial journey, from the center dot all the way out to the outer square, it represents a really profound spiritual and linguistic concept called ahamkara.
Ahamkara.
Yeah, ahamkara is the manifestation of the individual ego. It's the process where the infinite, boundless cosmic principle descends through a series of veils.
So it's limiting itself.
Exactly. Layer by layer, it puts on elements and sensory organs and physical boundaries until it becomes a singular, isolated individual. Basically, you are the cosmos, just heavily veiled.
And I guess the goal of interacting with the yantra is to reverse that journey, to travel from the outer square back through those layers and return to the bindu.
That inward journey, removing the veils, realizing your true infinite nature. That's called mahat. You're letting go of your limited individual nature so you can identify with the boundless cosmos again.
I just love the linguistic mirror hidden in the Sanskrit here. The source points out that the word for the individual, the descent from the cosmic source, is A-H-A-M.
Right.
And the reverse journey, expanding to become the infinite universe again, is Maha, M-A-H-A. It is the exact same word, just spelled backward.
Which is such a perfect reflection of the geometric journey, right? Moving in and out.
Yeah. Think of ahamkara like trying to survive a brutal, freezing winter.
Okay.
To step outside, you have to put on a heavy thermal coat. Then you add a thick wool scarf, heavy gloves, a hat, thick boots. You're completely layered up.
Exactly. You are isolating yourself from the environment just to safely exist within it. Those heavy layers make you a distinct, protected individual capable of walking through the physical world.
Right.
But eventually, you walk into a warm, safe cabin, and there is this glowing fire in the very center of the room. To actually feel the warmth of that fire, to experience Mahat, you have to take off the gloves.
You have to shed the layers.
You have to remove the heavy coat, unwind the scarf, kick off the boots. You intentionally strip away all those individual layers of protection to reconnect with the pure source of the heat.
I love that. You cannot feel the heat of the bindu if you refuse to take off the thick armor of the outer square.
Exactly. But here's what I want to know. If this incredibly complex geometry is a map of how the universe veiled itself to create us,
Yeah.
how does it physically map onto human anatomy? Because the source insists this isn't just a metaphor.
Oh, the lecture makes it incredibly clear. The Shri Chakra is a direct, literal, anatomical blueprint of the human body.
Literally. Whatever structures exist in the external macrocosm exist exactly the same way in the microscopic human form.
Okay, walk us through that map. Where do these specific shapes sit on the physical body?
Well, that outermost square, the Bhupura, that heavy physical boundary that maps directly to the human feet.
Okay.
Moving inward, the 16-petaled lotus corresponds to the thighs. And the central vertical axis of the human body, the spinal cord, represents Mount Meru.
Mount Meru.
Yeah, in mythology, Mount Meru is the central mountain of the cosmos. It's the pillar around which the entire universe revolves. So in your body, your spine is that cosmic pillar.
Wow. And what about all the intersecting triangles?
They map directly to the physical locations of the chakra system in your body. Like the set of 14 triangles represents the Swadhisthana chakra, which is situated right down at your lower abdomen. The outer set of 10 triangles maps to the Manipura chakra, located near your solar plexus. And as you move closer and closer to the center of the drawing, you move up the body to the Vishuddhi chakra at the throat, and all the way into the brain to the central bindu.
That is wild.
Your physical nervous system and skeletal structure are basically constructed as a three-dimensional manifestation of this two-dimensional drawing.
And it doesn't even stop at the macro level of limbs and spines. The source notes that the specific numerical configuration of the yantra, the outward progression of 1 dot, 3 points of the triangle, 8 triangles, 10, 10, and 14, that is reflected down at the atomic level.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. If you look at quantum mechanics and how electrons revolve around the nucleus of an atom in specific shells and subshells.
The subshell capacities in chemistry follow incredibly similar rules. Like the s orbital holds a tight pair of electrons, the p orbital holds 6, the Tig subshell holds exactly 10, and the s subshell holds exactly 14.
It's the same sequence.
It is. The ancient geometric sequence maps neatly onto the way modern physics understands the very building blocks of matter.
But wait, I'm stuck on something here.
What's that?
If my physical body is already this ultimate map, like if my spine is already the cosmic mountain and my atoms are already spinning in this exact sequence, why do I need to sit down with a ruler and draw it on a piece of paper?
That's a valid question.
Right. Why do practitioners of Sri Vidya spend hours or even lifetimes meticulously drawing this complicated shape if they already are the shape?
Well, it comes down to the concept of sadhana, or dedicated spiritual practice. See, the human mind is easily distracted by the harsh winter environment, to use your analogy.
We forget we have the coats on.
Exactly. We get caught up in the heavy coats of our daily lives and constantly forget our cosmic nature. So the foundational rule of this practice is that whatever you wish to realize internally must first be practiced externally.
So the drawing acts as a physical tool to train the internal mind.
It's an interactive mirror. Drawing the yantra forces both hemispheres of your brain to work in complete synchronicity.
How so?
On one side, you're engaging the highly logical mathematical brain. You're measuring exact distances, calculating fractions, and finding precise junctions to connect these intersecting lines without making an error. It demands immense focus.
Right.
But then on the other side, you're engaging the artistic, creative brain. You're choosing colors, finding beauty in the symmetry, and putting your personal aesthetic expression into the petals and the gates.
You aren't just staring at a blank wall trying to empty your mind. You are actively constructing the geometry of the universe on a piece of paper.
Yes, and by doing so, you're forcing your brain to absorb its structure. You practice the architecture externally so that eventually you can close your eyes and vividly construct the entire Shri Chakra in your mind's eye.
And that internal visualization is the ultimate goal of the sadhana. And speaking of the mathematical precision required, you don't just guess where these 9 triangles intersect. The source shares a brilliant architectural formula, like a scalable golden ratio, that guides the horizontal lines of the entire structure.
Oh, this part is fascinating. The ratio numbers provided in the lecture are 6, 6, 5, 10, 3, 6, 6, 6.
Which sounds completely random. Explain how a practitioner actually uses those numbers on a blank canvas.
Well, if you want to draw the Shri Chakra flawlessly, you start by drawing a circle. Then you draw a vertical line straight down the center, dividing the circle in half.
Okay.
Then you divide that vertical line into 48 equal ticks or segments.
Why 48?
Because if you add up the numbers in that ratio, 6, 6, 5, 10, 3, 6, 6, 6, they equal exactly 48.
Oh, so those ratio numbers act as a map for that vertical line.
Exactly. Starting from the top, you count down 6 ticks, and you draw a horizontal line across the circle. You count down another 6 ticks and draw another horizontal line. Then you count down 5, then 10, and so on.
And what do those horizontal lines do?
These specific horizontal lines create the exact junctions, where the upward and downward triangles must intersect perfectly.
And because it's based on proportional segments rather than fixed inches, it's an infinitely scalable algorithm.
Yes, completely scalable.
You divide your chosen diameter by 48, find your base unit, and you can map the perfect geometry. You could draw a tiny one in a notebook, or you could scale it up to the size of a football field, and the proportions remain perfectly cosmic.
But that 48-unit ratio isn't just for drawing in isolation. The math is designed to scale up. And that brings us to what happens when you draw this on a massive scale with an entire community.
Oh, right, the ritual.
Yeah, a ritual called the Sri Puja.
In this communal ritual, people gather to draw a massive Shri Chakra on the floor, and it's highly collaborative and deeply artistic, right?
Next so.
People decorate the geometric lines with flowers, brightly colored powders, grains, fruits, and dozens of glowing lamps. It becomes this gorgeous, interactive piece of art.
It's stunning to see.
And everyone sits around the perimeter, chanting mantras, invoking cosmic energies into themselves and into a central lamp placed directly on the bindu.
And if we connect this to the bigger picture, the mathematics of shared energy in this communal ritual are just astounding.
Oh, this is the best part.
The source explained that a community yantra acts as a massive energy multiplier.
How does that work?
Well, if you sit alone in your room and put 1 unit of positive energy into your personal meditation, you generally get 1 unit of peace back.
Right.
A 1-to-1 return on your energetic investment.
Makes sense. But in the Sri Puja, the math completely changes.
It does. In the group setting, if you sit with 50 people and every single person puts 1 unit of energy into the central bindu, you don't just take back your 1 unit at the end.
You take back the whole pot.
Every single person takes back 50 units. The energy multiplies by the total number of participants.
Which completely redefines the concept of abundance. I mean, we often treat energy and peace as a zero-sum game. Like, if I take a slice of the pie, there is less pie for you.
Right, but in this geometry, the peace compounds.
And the source specifically notes that the ritual doesn't end when you stand up. You are supposed to take that compounded, multiplied energy back to your daily life and distribute it.
You share it.
Yeah, you give it
Right.
to your friends, your family, your coworkers. You essentially become a walking, broadcasting bindu of abundance.
The ultimate realization is knowing you contain the cosmos
Yeah.
and allowing that cosmic abundance to overflow into the mundane physical world.
Now, there is one highly practical piece of advice the source gives, which I think we should absolutely pass along.
Yes, the householder rule.
Right. If you are captivated by this and decide you want to hang a Shri Chakra in your living room or keep one on your desk, there is a specific rule about what kind to get.
The lecturer strongly advises that if you are a grihasta householder, meaning someone with a day job, a family, paying a mortgage, living a normal societal life,
Which is most of us.
right, most of us, you should avoid getting a Shri Chakra that has bijaksharas or seed mantras permanently inscribed onto it.
And why is that?
Those specific inscribed syllables carry an intensely concentrated renunciate energy. They're meant strictly for sannyasis ascetic monks who have actively given up all worldly attachments and responsibilities.
So, unless you are planning to quit your job, leave your family, and move to a remote cave to meditate all day.
Probably stick to the pure geometric drawing without the inscribed letters.
Good tip. Because while these are universal cosmic maps, they are also highly potent psychological and spiritual tools. The specific variations tune into specific energetic frequencies, and you obviously want the frequency that supports a dynamic, active life in the world.
Exactly.
We have journeyed across an immense cosmic map today. I mean, we started at the absolute 0 point of the Bindu, the place of perfect, silent fullness.
We covered a lot of ground.
We did. We watched as the dualities of Shiva and Shakti sparked the universe into existence. We followed that energy as it vibrated through the 14 primordial drum beats, crystallizing into the 5 elements, our physical senses, and the energy highways of our own nervous systems.
From the universe right down to the individual.
Yeah, we saw how the infinite layered itself in heavy winter coats to become you, sitting at the outer gates of the physical world.
And the core takeaway here is that this cosmic map isn't hanging out in some distant, unreachable galaxy. It is literally written into the bones of your feet, the structure of your spine, and the spin of the atoms in your cells.
The macrocosm and the microcosm are identical.
Identical. You already have everything you need to return to the source, because the map is built into your own geometry. Drawing it is simply the act of remembering who you really are.
Which leaves us with a final thought to take away today. And it circles back to the very engine of creation we discussed earlier, the imbalance of the triangles.
Oh, this is such a good point.
Because we spend so much of our lives desperately trying to achieve perfect balance, right? We obsess over work-life balance. We want our emotions to be perfectly steady.
We're totally conditioned to see absolute equilibrium as the ultimate goal of a successful life.
And we view any deviation from the center as a failure. But look at what the King of Yantril shows us with its sacred geometry. 4 upward triangles of static silence. 5 downward triangles of dynamic, kinetic action.
If the universe were perfectly balanced, 4 against 4.
The result would just be 0. A perfectly balanced engine stops turning, nothing would ever happen. True creation, true manifestation in the universe, and by extension in your own life, actually requires a slight imbalance.
It demands a lean toward action.
Exactly. So perhaps the imbalances you feel, the quirks in your routine, and the chaotic dynamic moments in your life aren't flaws to be fixed. Maybe they are the very sparks required for your own ongoing creation.
That is a powerful perspective to carry with you as you navigate the outer square of the world.
Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. Keep questioning, keep exploring, and we'll see you next time.